Hi everybody, this is Samantha K and this is the Samantha K Experience. Welcome to episode number 10. I cannot believe it. This is a little anniversary, I guess, 10 episodes. Well, technically it's probably about 11, but you know what? Since we had the 2.5 episode a few weeks ago, but I'm considering this episode 10. So today we're going to be talking about the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Now, as you guys may know, that the movie, after about 4 years of waiting, 4 or 5 years, maybe 3 years, I don't know, Zack Snyder finally dropped this movie a couple of weeks ago. I would say maybe about, it's bordering on maybe almost 3 weeks now. Yes, so on HBO Max, Zack Snyder finally dropped his version of the Justice League movie, which was directed originally by him, but because of some unfortunate circumstances, he had to step away from the project, and the project was picked up by then Joss Whedon, who is the director for the Avengers and the MCU. And he also directed, if you guys know this little show, it's not little, but I just like to make a little joke. Joss Whedon is the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, starring Sarah Michelle Gellar back in the 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, he's been around the block for many years. So the whole thing is that there was this whole big catastrophe with Zack Snyder and the Warner Brothers, and whether or not he was allowed to release his version of the movie, because a lot of fans, a lot of people were making complaints about, Joss Whedon's version, because either due to, many issues, like I know the most infamous issue was the $28 million mustache fail of doom. The fact that Henry Cavill, who plays Superman in the movie, he was working under Paramount, I believe, and he was working on the Mission Impossible movie. I think it's called Rogue Nation, I must be confusing the movie with something, but another title. But anyway, he was working on Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, and in the movie he has facial hair. He has a beard and a mustache, and it's very pronounced mustache. You can't miss it. But because Paramount didn't want him to shave the beard and and the mustache, he had to reshoot scenes from Justice League. In fact, everybody had to come back and reshoot scenes from Justice League. Like, once Zack did his thing, he stepped away from the project. I think it was due to the fact that unfortunately his child had passed away, and I think he might have had some issues with the studio because of they feeling that his content was a little bit too dark. From what I've heard from several sources, that his content was really dark, so I guess that they kind of decided that they didn't want his version, and they wanted to go in a different direction. So therefore, here comes Joss Whedon to the somewhat rescue, so to speak. Well, I don't know if Whedon actually rescued anything, but I think it kind of made the situation a little bit worse, because of the fact that, well, let's say this for starters. One, this guy, it's not that Joss Whedon is a bad director, but let's just say that I don't think he was the right choice to pick for doing Justice League. And it's not because he works for Marvel or anything like that. I just think that his vision obviously isn't like the same or even remotely close to Zack Snyder's vision for the characters. So I think it was kind of like a misplaced thing, so to speak. And I don't really fault Joss Whedon too much on the situation, because you gotta work with what you're given sometimes, and sometimes these studios don't really give you much to work with. They just want things their way, and a lot of times directors kind of fall on the sword here, because they have to go according to what the studio wants. So it's really hard sometimes to I guess get your vision across without stepping on a few rich people's shoes. But I digress. So anyway, back to this mustache thing, right? So in the movie, since Henry couldn't shave his facial hair, Warner Brothers decided that they were going to go and CG out all his facial hair, and gave him the worst looking upper lip I've ever seen on any person in my life. Like, this was like really terrible, bad Photoshop. And it's like he had no upper lip, and every time he smiled, it looked like he was, I don't know if he was constipated or frightened. I think it's between the two. Like, I cannot understand how you can mess up someone's face like that. I mean, in the end, Henry was a good sport about it. He even made a video about his king stash, which the fact that he called it king stash, to be honest, I don't know. It kind of felt kind of porn related, but you know what? It's whatever. I mean, he did a tribute video for it and sent it off to, in the pastures and whatnot. But all in all, it was a really bad look, to sit there and focus so much on the facial hair when all you had to do was just, not mess up his lip. Like, he looked weird, and I couldn't get past that. And to me, there were certain elements of Joss Whedon's version of the movie that I was just like, what? And things that doesn't make any sense. But I digress. I'm not here to bash Joss Whedon or anything on a professional level. I know that there's some other issues that are surrounding him as of late, but I'm not going to really get into that. For those of you who do know, I'm not going to really touch base on that, because this is not what we're here for. This is just strictly for, on a professional level. So anyway, so Zack Snyder, after all of this time, is able to finally drop this movie. And I think even the actors themselves were like, yo, listen, we need you to drop this movie, bro. Like, come on, let him, free his movie, free his vision, let us see what his vision was, because all jokes aside, he got cheated out of, being able to show the world his work. Now, as an artist myself, I'm a writer. I find if someone stifles me in terms of my creativity, I'm going to have a freaking problem with it, regardless of who you are. Don't stop my growth, my growth, not growth, but growth. Don't stop my growth, we take our work very seriously. So I can understand where he's coming from, feeling like, I made the effort to create this movie, and then for people to then turn around and be like, well, we're not gonna really, you don't really want your movie because it's not what we envisioned. But it's hard to have somebody tell you, no, this is not what we want, this is not what we're looking for, because now you have to start from scratch all over again. And sometimes your greatness isn't seen in the second vision, but in the first. And sometimes you tend to lose your creativity because you're red hot in the moment. So it's really hard to work around that. But alas, the movie came out on March 18th, and a lot of people enjoyed this movie. I I can't lie to you guys, it is 4 hours long, and honestly, I was kind of struggling the first hour to watch this movie. It was just the fact that there were noticeable differences and similarities from both versions of the movie. Like certain things, like there's a scene that basically had, in Joss Whedon's version, there was a scene between Martha and Lois, which was a really, emotional scene between them after the quote unquote death of Superman. And they're pretty much sharing like this, moment, because here Lois was his girlfriend and this is his mom. So they're having a connection and having this great conversation and building this relationship. In Zack's version, he gets rid of a majority of the emotional crap, and then it says, you know what, F it. The scene didn't even have, his mom really in it. It was somebody else pretending to be, Martha. So it kind of was like, well, dude, you gave us a little bit more in the Joss Whedon version in terms of certain like dialogue and build up, but then there's a little, not so much in the Snyder cut. So there's little things like that I've noticed. Other things that I noticed, that they gave Cyborg more of a backstory and Flash more of a backstory in the Snyder cut. I think that was good because it introduced the characters, or reintroduced people to these characters that some of us may have known from like the cartoons, like the Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go with Cyborg, and with the Flash, pretty much kind of like from the comic books and also from the CW TV show. It was just a different take on his character, gave him a little bit more of a backstory. It felt like then there was a process of looking for Aquaman, which took a little bit longer than it did in the first movie. I don't know, there was just like noticeable differences that one would pick out if they had watched both movies around the same time and just wrote down exactly what it was. What we did notice that was very different was the look of Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf looked drastically different from how he looked in the previous movie. He actually looked a lot better. His armor kind of reminded me of similar to the Destroyer in the first Thor movie in the MCU. So I was kind of like, wait, hold up, are they stealing ideas here? But you know what? I said, let's let it rock. Let's see where this is going. And Steppenwolf actually had more of a backstory as well, which I thought was pretty good too, because it just came out of nowhere, where this guy, this enemy just dropped from the sky pretty much. In the Whedon version, and then here we have him getting more of a backstory, and we get to see Darkseid, and we're like, holy crap, Darkseid was in this. Like from the moment that I saw him through the portal with his hands crossed behind his back, I was like, oh shit, finally we get to see Darkseid after all this time. But there's a lot of things, in the DC extended universe that I really have issues with, like the fact that they just can't really get their films together as well as, as Marvel. But I know we're not going to talk about the debate between Marvel and DC, but it's just that they've had almost around the same amount of time, and they just can't get it together. It's something about their movies that's just, I don't know, whether it's the right actors or the script, I don't know what it is, but they just seem to not be able to get it together. So we got to blame Warner Brothers for not being able to get their ish together in terms of that. But Zack Snyder's movie, I didn't like the fact that the movie was 4 hours long. I honestly thought that there were things that could have just not made it a 4-hour movie. But I understand that he wanted to give everyone the full experience of what he worked so hard on, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Mr. Snyder, if you ever would listen to this podcast. But yes, I appreciate that. I just personally, I just don't like sitting down for too long. I mean, I'm sitting down as it is, but for me, it's just really difficult to sit through a 4-hour movie. I may want to use the bathroom. I want to get something to eat, things like that. But other than that, it has to keep my interest, keep me invested. So with that being said, I did have a few issues. Now this was an issue that some people have brought up that I think is one part's funny and one part irritating. I know that they had Wonder Woman, and every damn time that Wonder Woman came on the screen, her theme played. I swear to all I love, even in the ending shot with the final fight with Steppenwolf, and I'm like, bro, does her theme really need to go off at this point in time? Like, play anything else. Play the Flight of the Valkyries for all I care. Please stop playing her goddamn music. Like, stop. Bro, stop. Give it a rest. We get it. She's Wonder Woman. She can fight. She's cute. We get it. I understand. It's like, I feel like I'm forced to be reminded of her placement on the team, seeing how she's the sole woman on the team. And I'm just like, my dude, like, come on, man. I understand it. I get it. You don't have to keep pushing down the woman power agenda, down people's throats. I get it. She fights. She's a warrior. Her theme don't need to be played like that all the time. It's not her. She's not the only one in the movie. There's other characters in this movie. There's Batman. There's Aquaman. There's Flash. There's Cyborg. There's even Superman. I don't even think none of them themes came out as much as hers did. Every little thing, I swear, if she was probably sipping a drink from Starbucks, that theme would have played. Like, it was so infuriating. Like, I even remember at one point when I told my boyfriend, I said, listen, if that song played one more goddamn time, I'm getting up and walking out. And it just so happened that the song played, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, make it stop. It was just things like that triggered me. And to be honest with you, I'm not really a big fan of this version of the Flash. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just that I'm so used to Flash like the CW version, and I know that some people may not like the Flash from the CW version, and you're welcome to feel the way that you feel about him. But I'm used to Grant Gustin's version of the Flash. So for 7 years, I've seen his version of the Flash play out on the screen. And here I got this kid here, and I'm just like, oh my God, I cringe every time he came on the screen. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I understand he was probably like in his early 20s or something like that, or late teens or something. But it was just the fact that he was just full of cringe, and I just couldn't deal. And I was like, at this point, like, I just did not like him. I didn't like the suit. I thought the suit could have been better. Because I'm a person, I look for the details in how the character is portrayed and how they dress themselves, how they dress, especially if they're a superhero suit. And I just didn't like the suit at all. I didn't like the suit in the last movie, and I didn't like it in this version either. I just didn't like the Flash, period. Like, I just feel like he's a throwaway character to me. Like, it didn't make never mind. They might as well have just put Green Arrow in there and made everything better. Like, I just do not care for this version of the Flash. There's no disrespect to Ezra Miller or anything like that, but I just was not here for his Flash. I wasn't here for it in the other movie, and I'm sure as hell wasn't here for it now. Like, I just can't. I think they did a very good thing with Cyborg, but although I had a problem with the fact that he still had hair on one side of his head, and his head seemed to be a lot fresh and neat on that one side. Like, where does he have time to get his hair done and half a head done at that? Like, who had time to sit there and cut Cyborg's hair and give him waves? Like, I was like, things like that. I'm so used to the Cyborg in the cartoon to be bald, and one part is cybernetic and the other side is bald. And I'm just like, why are we, how does he got like waves? I don't get it. But I guess these are minor technical things that people like don't waste the time to think about except for me. But I'm sorry, I'm just weird like that. I just don't understand personally how that could work, but oh well. And the thing with his dad, I'm just like, Dad, you're holding these things like with a coat. Do anybody have like a container to contain these mother boxes or anything? Because I'm pretty sure these things are rather dangerous if you touch them. I don't think any rare human could just deal with them holding them like that. I don't get it. Like, it just seemed weird to me. I think it just was weird. Like, honestly, I got no words for that other than it was just weird. What I liked more again about this movie was the special effects weren't bad. Like, I think they did a really good job on capturing like the characters, like Darkseid and Steppenwolf, and overall I think the movie had a really good a better feel to it, and I think that he did a bit better with this movie. But to be fair, I don't really think that he really had much to work off of, seeing as how that the last few movies that have come out under DC haven't been really all that good. Like I mentioned before, I don't know if it's because of casting decisions or whatever it is, but it's just like beyond ridiculous. So I think I think that this will probably be DC's first one that they got, like, their well-established movie. I think this is their first well-established movie, and I'm thinking that it's gonna it works. I want to see how Aquaman 2 comes out. So yeah, I really think that this is their first gem that they have in the vault, in terms of how good the movie was, because it leaves it open to what's gonna happen with the League. Is the League gonna stay together, or they're gonna separate? What I also think he did good was the fact that they showed Superman in the black suit, which looked really nice and fitting on Henry Cavill. But then again, he could wear a gunny sack and still make it look attractive. But yeah, I think that the suit and him getting involved in the fight and actually putting the screws to Steppenwolf, I think that the whole fight scene was pretty good. It was good because I didn't like the fact that they had those damn the parademons from the first movie, and it just seemed so corny, like the way how they were set up. It just like, let Steppenwolf do what he gotta do. Let him do his work. Don't let him rely too much on these creatures and stuff like that. I mean, we still had the creatures in this version of the movie, but I feel like he was able to do more for himself, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think the movie was pretty good. I just wish that he was able to release this movie when it was supposed to be released. So maybe he actually would have given Marvel a little bit more of a competition, and people would have had more of a better opportunity to compare it with Marvel or something like that, like people normally do. They always compare the two comic book franchises. So I think that with that, it was a good movie. I know you guys are like, well, Sam, what's so good about it? Told you. Well, one, special effects was good. That had included better backstories for characters that didn't get backstories in the previous movies. Some of the suits looked a lot better. The outfits looked a lot better than they did in the previous movie. Although I'm still not sold on how Cyborg looked, because he kind of looked like a broken crystal ball to me. Like if you'd have took like the lights from the New Year's Eve ball and then just kind of stretched it out a bit and turn it into, make it look like one part glass and the other part I don't know, just some type of reflecting type of surface, like if we were doing arts and crafts. Like I still think they need to work a little bit more on how Cyborg is supposed to look. I also think that Aquaman was pretty much cool. I think they gave him a little bit more to work with also in this movie. I think he had a little bit more lines than he did in the previous movie. And it was good at the end to see that extra scene that we had with Jared Leto's Joker. And that was a nice surprise to see him back inside the movies, because he had such a bad reaction to his version of the Joker from the Suicide Squad. So it was really good seeing that version of him in terms of the way how he talked to his exchange with Batman. It was pretty good. And then they opened up a possibility of an alternate Superman. It kind of left kind of like a feeling, kind of like almost like the Injustice Superman coming to, handle everybody because of the death of Lois. Sorry if there's a spoiler in there, but it also deals with the an injustice. Anyone who plays the games, the video games, and Injustice, the death of Lois was the result of, because of something that the Joker did that caused Superman to, I guess, accidentally kill Lois and their unborn child. So Superman goes on martial law and starts laying waste to pretty much everything, and in the process the rest of the Justice League gets caught in a crossfire. People pick sides, and it becomes like an all-out war amongst the superheroes, and some villains join the forces with the heroes, and it just becomes this whole big crazy war. So it's kind of similar to that, and it may not be exactly like that, but it has like underlying themes like the Injustice 1 and 2 games. So that was kind of cool to see that ending with him with the glowing eyes. It was also cool to see that they introduced Martian Manhunter. I was like, hey, when Martian Manhunter gonna come into these movies, man? And he finally made an appearance in the movie. So I think that was a good added touch to him too. I'm just waiting for Green Arrow to come through. I want to know who they're gonna pick to play Green Arrow. To be honest with you, because I don't think that the movies are gonna go with Stephen Amell, who played Green Arrow in the Arrow series on the CW. I think that they're trying to use more movie actors than actual television show actors to play the characters, because I feel like they think that the TV show actors are a little bit more watered down than what they're looking for, a little bit more, I would say, more bubblegum than what they're looking for. So I think that's one of the issues. But going back to Zack Snyder's movie, I think he did a great job, and I like the ending. The ending credit scene. I don't think it was an ending credit scene, but it was a pre-credit scene, I should say. He did a really good job with it. I don't think it should have been as long as it was. I think it should have just been like maybe a minute or two of conversation, and then it just cut to the ending. But overall, I think he did a great job, and he should be proud of himself for making this movie and letting it be made and letting it be shown to everyone. I do like Batman, and Batman is one of my favorite DC superheroes, if not the favorite of mine, aside from Wonder Woman. But I think with that, I think he did relatively a good job on this movie. If I had to rate it, I probably would have given it about an 8. It's just like there was a few things that I didn't kind of like about it, and it's I know it's kind of triggering, but it's just I can't get over that continuous Wonder Woman thing, man. Like it was just a pain in the ass listening to that. Like it's like you're trying to push something or force feed me something that I already know, and I kind of don't like that, and I feel like that's kind of insulting to your audience. Like you're trying to say, hey, here's Wonder Woman again, she's gonna deflect bullets with her bracelets again, she's gonna she's gonna use the lasso of truth, she's gonna punch a few people, she's gonna kick, and she's gonna headbutt, and she's gonna charge in like the warrior that she is, and then just clean house. But like, come on, man, like that was just way too much. It's like they were trying to like push her down on to everybody, and I'm like, nah, I'm not here for it. I already see the agenda here. Don't do that. Don't push the agenda, please. Don't do that. So with that being said, guys, check out the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. It's out on HBO Max or whatever, maybe on the movie theaters if you so choose to see it. Just remember, be careful out there, be safe if you decide to go to the movie theaters to watch anything, any movie, or for that matter. And just be safe out there, and I hope you enjoy the movie. It's, like I said, it's on HBO Max. And for those of you who have just now started listening to the show, I have also added a YouTube channel where I will be uploading video versions of the podcast. It's just pretty much me still talking, but I haven't shown my face yet, which I'm kind of figuring out how that will work eventually. So you guys probably may get to see me in the future, but then again, I like my anonymity, so I don't know just yet. We'll wait and see. But yeah, guys, I am Samantha K, and this has been the Samantha K Experience, and I hope you enjoyed this review of the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League. Peace. Stay tuned for episode 11, where I talk about last week's return of Elliot Stabler from Law and Order. My man Christopher Maloney came back, y'all. He came back to claim that character again, and it's like he never even missed a beat. Oh my god. So stay tuned for episode 11, which I am going to get started on right now at the end of this. So I'm signing off. This is Samantha K and the Samantha K Experience. Peace.